Hey friends, welcome to Wednesdays with Whitney. Just me today, just me here talking about some things that I am passionate about. The topics we're going to cover today are how to introduce yourself in a way that has impact and fully defines who you are, what you're capable of, and what you do in the world. And then we're also going to talk about charging what you're worth, just touch on that a little bit. And then the last topic that Peter brought up that I really, really love is life on the pedestal. Life on the pedestal, what that looks like. So first thing, introducing yourself. So, hey Amanda. When I think about introducing myself, this idea has evolved over time, and I want to share a story with you that I think I've shared a few times. But when I first moved back, I had started a business. I started Ivory House Photography, and there was no real context behind that. I was a new girl in town, and so I introduced myself as Whitney Warren Photographer, because it's a skill that I have. And I wasn't even really saying the name of my business yet because nobody knew what that was. So I was just saying, I'm Whitney Warren, I'm a photographer. And then one day my friend Joyce Chapman took me to a networking event, and I was introducing myself that way, and she said, Whitney, you have to say the name of your business. If you don't say it, nobody else will. So I started introducing myself as, I'm Whitney Warren, a photographer and owner of Ivory House Photography. As you all know, what I do in this community has completely evolved. And so now I do tons of personal branding work for people. I do tons of marketing consultant for nonprofits and personal brands and just people looking to level up their game. I also do a ton of community work. I do a ton of work to build up communities with the Hummingbirds and then with other nonprofit corporations and just like big launches. So what I am has shifted. And I always knew that was the case. This isn't a surprise to me, guys. Like I knew that photography is a skill that I have. It's not who I am. So I actually want to out myself and say that from now on, I won't be introducing myself as a photographer because that's not who I am. It's something I do. Who I am is Whitney Warren. I'm a personal brand strategist. Oh my gosh, I stumbled saying it because I never say that out loud. I'm Whitney Warren. I'm a personal brand strategist. And that encompasses everything. I help with community building. I help with personal branding. I help capture images of you that are going to create a really, really powerful impact in the world. Like all of that fills in underneath this idea that I'm a personal brand strategist, but it aligns so much more closely with who I am. And what I was starting to feel when people would introduce me as a photographer is that I was incomplete. I was incomplete in the way that I was showing up, and I wanted people to see all of the other things that I was doing, all the other things that I wanted to contribute to the world. But I realized that I have to be the person that says it. I have to be the person that shows up and takes confidence in my skills and says, yes, I do photography. Yes, I love that. But I am a personal brand strategist. Like this is the big umbrella. So I'm going to start doing that. This is my own personal challenge. And when you guys are thinking about your titles, I mean, what's the first question that we ask anybody when we meet them? If it's not where are you from, it's what do you do? And I ask, what do you do in the world? For me, I never want to, like, there are so many ways of being in this world. There are so many ways of acting in contribution to our universe that doing something specific with a title is not what I'm after when I'm asking, what do you do in the world? What I am after is how do you contribute in the world, and how you introduce yourself should encompass that. So for me, how do I contribute in the world? Oh, I'm gonna just start asking that question. Oh, revelations right in front of you, friends. How I contribute is that I use everything that I am, everything that I've learned to help build up personal brands. So I'm a personal brand strategist. So when you're taking that into account for your own life, like we have skills. I'm going to use Carla because Carla, babe, you're here. So Carla, you could say, I'm a writer. Like, right, that's your skill. You are so good at that. But I would love to hear how you introduce yourself. What do you do in the world? What's the step beyond that? Because yes, Carla, you are an incredible writer. You contribute so much beautiful content to so many platforms. But Carla, what does it look like when you introduce yourself? Like, what do you say about that? And if you say you're a writer and you feel like that's the truest thing, that's awesome. But is there something above that that incorporates your intention, your contribution to the world that can encompass what you do and how you show up? So that's what I'm challenging each and every one of you to do today, is think about how you introduce yourself. What is your title? What is the title that you give to yourself? Because the title you give to yourself has nothing to do with the title that work gives you. In fact, this is a conversation I just had with what is now my operations manager. So Amanda, hey babe, you're out there. Amanda has come on with Ivory House and Brand Launch to help us get all of our ducks in a row. So many ducks. And, we were calling her our VA, or we were calling her our, assistant. And I was like, that is not accurate. And so we talked about it. And so now Amanda's title is, she's our operations manager. And that just felt so good to us because it really values what she contributes. It's not like a canned title. It is what she is, who she contributes, how she shows up powerfully in this world. So I really challenge you guys all. And if you want to drop it in the comments, what your title is, what the title you give yourself is. And if you work at a corporation that gives you a title, I ask you to think outside of that. Who you are is not where you work. Who you are is the entire encompassing of your body, spirit, being. And so you might have one title at work, but you might call yourself completely something different when you introduce yourself. So challenge number 1, please accept. Thank you. Right below. Next one. What are you worth? Oh, guys, question, right? What are you worth? And I hear so frequently, especially people with jobs that are starting a side hustle or one business that now, this happened with me with Ivory House. I had a photography business, but then people kept asking me marketing advice. And I had no idea how to charge for that because it wasn't part of my system. But it was draining to have 5 to 6 marketing meetings a week that I wasn't being compensated for. So I had to realize that even though I have no marketing degree, I have marketing expertise. I have an expertise in this area because I have built it, I have lived it, I have shown it, I have contributed it. So I really had to get clear about the fact that I am worth charging me as I am, showing up, who I am, my brain and what I've done in the past is worth monetary value when I show up in a space. And I understood that with photography because I had watched that been led by example by my previous boss and best friend. So I understood how to monetize myself photographically, but I didn't understand how to monetize my knowledge that I'd collected. And so many of us have intangible skills. So many of us are getting asked frequently, can I pick your brain? Can I pick your brain about the exact same topic? And I was missing the boat on realizing that I had value there. So I think a lot of times we don't charge because we don't see our own value, or we think that in order to charge for something, a level of perfection in systems and procedures has to be there. And I can tell you that while you might not be able to charge top dollar for your service because systems and procedures and strong branding and consistency are all the things you need to charge, a premium amount, when you put a dollar sign to the time that you take to show up, you show up bigger, you show up better, and you make a bigger impact on that person. Because at the end of the day, if dollars aren't invested, then things aren't absorbed. And I know this for myself. I know that if I don't pay for something, I don't value it as highly. And that's just, I think there's just something about us. And so think about that when you are pouring. So say you show up to a coffee meeting that ends up being a marketing meeting. This has happened. And I, pouring information that I have built and gathered. And then at the end I was like, whoa, that was awesome for the person who heard that. And then, but I felt drained. And the only person the only person whose fault, we don't do blame around here, but the only person who's responsible for that is me. I get to say that I'm worthy of that. And you guys get to say that you are worthy of your time, talents, brain, and being. So if people want to have what are you worth conversations, first of all, the answer is you are worth so ridiculously much. So much. So if there is money that you are leaving on the table because you're simply not asking for it, I want you to make a list. Don't post this. This is for you. Don't post that. But make a list of where are you leaving money on the table? Where are you leaving money on the table because you don't think that you have substantiated yourself 100% in order to ask for that? And then look at that and say, okay, what are the reasons why I'm not asking for this money? And then I ask you to realize that most of those are excuses just to not say, this is what I deserve, and that we are not investing in our worthiness. So we as a human, we are the people that are responsible for asking for our worth. We are responsible for defining it. So think about that, guys. I am constantly in evolution around this. This is not a finished product. This is not like in 2 months I'm gonna think and charge differently for things. But thanks, Christina. I do look fantastic in this cappy top. I'm gonna think and charge differently for things. But at the end of the day, when I realize that there's a gap between what I'm offering and what I'm charging, I'm looking at that and finding out how to close that. Cool. The last topic I want to talk about is the pedestal thought that Peter brought up. And actually, Peter and I got to talk about this a little bit yesterday, so I'm glad we're having a chance to reiterate that in public. So the idea of being put on a pedestal, the idea of showing up powerfully in a leadership position in your community, and then that thought of, okay, now that I'm a leader, I have to lead. Like I have to lead because I'm a leader. And something that I've been thinking about a lot is we put ourselves on a pedestal. So I'm super guilty of this. Like I realized that I had put myself on this pedestal that didn't work for me. Didn't work because I want to be a leader in the community, but I want to lead with people. I want to lead beside people. I want to lead the charge with an army of people right next to me. And the way that I was doing that was just running really fast ahead. And there's this African proverb, and I'm going to say it really wrong. But if you want to go far, go alone. And if you want, I messed it up. If you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, bring other people. And I love that quote because I want to go far, not fast. And I think when we get wrapped up in thinking that we're the only ones doing it right, that we're the only ones capable of leading, and I've had so many conversations with people about this, like, well, I'm the only one that can do it right. That's what we think. That is like, we have set up, when I have thought that in the past, it is because I have set up my world so that nobody else has the opportunity to do it right. It is because I have held on to things so close and so tight that nobody else can do it right because I haven't given them the tools, because I haven't let them in, because I haven't trusted them. So what I think about the pedestal is twofold. Pedestal and perfection are not the same. If we're striving for perfection, we're putting ourselves on a pedestal that we can't reach and no one else can reach us, right? Because there's no need in this world for us to be perfect. I don't need it. Nobody else needs that from me. I truly believe that. People do not need me to be perfect. If that was true, this would have ended a long time ago. And people really respond to when I ask for help. That was a huge thing. I asked for help and then it just showed up. And I had to lean into that. I had to fall into it like a trust fall back into the support that I had built in this community. And when I fell back off that pedestal into the trust that I had built in this community, I realized I had no desire to be up there. I had no desire to put myself in a position where I was leading alone. And that has changed so much in just the way, and it's a shift in mentality, right? Nothing actually changed other than that I saw the support and the love and the contribution of everyone else in my sphere. And I got to honor each and every person for the talents that they brought into my world. And it is such a game changer, friends. So if in your head, and I know what that loop looks like. If in your head you're somebody who finds yourself thinking, I'm the only one who can do it right. What are these other people doing in these worlds? Why can't they get it done? Look back at yourself. Are they not getting it done because you haven't given them the proper tools? Are they not getting it done because before you even put it out there, you expected them not to get it done? Really, why are people not not showing up the way you want them to. And I would challenge you to really look at that and see at the end of the day if it's not a self-fulfilling prophecy. If the way that you think about it is simply the way that it's happening, because that's what I saw in myself, is that the way that I think about things is the way they show up in my world. So that's how I feel about the pedestal. Take yourself off of it. Just take yourself off and like get in there, because it is so much more fulfilling and so much more gratifying to be leading among everybody else. So if anybody wants to have conversations about that, following up on that, I would be really into that. I'm pretty excited about this topic in general. So love you all. Hope that this was a valuable part of your day. And I hope you're all thinking about how to introduce yourself. How do you contribute in the world? Your value, how valuable you are, and leading together. So we lead together, not on a pedestal. Okay, love you guys.